for 6 months straight, I would get on that bus, 5.5 hour bus ride there, 5.5 hour bus ride back to get the nonprofit off the ground. I would talk to my psychiatrist during that time, and he was asking very, very personal questions, very much treating like this whole going to New York, founding students with psychosis was some delusion or a grandeur. And let me just say, it wasn't. Yeah, my name is Cecilia McGough, and we're at Yale University for the SWP 24 conference. I'm someone living with schizophrenia, and for me, that means that I live with hallucinations, scattered thoughts, a certain level of paranoia, and other psychosis like symptoms. For me, I've been hallucinating for as long as I can remember. Even as a 5-year-old, I remember being scared of my closet, but I didn't think too much of it. But when I got older into my high school and especially into college, my hallucinations became much, much more prevalent, much more vivid and such, to the fact that it was impacting my going to school. I got diagnosed actually 10 years to this month, so it's been a decade of having an official diagnosis of schizophrenia. But there was a lot of pushback with my parents. I knew I had schizophrenia before I got the official diagnosis. However, my parents were very worried about that stigma associated around it, which I understand. And also, I don't blame them entirely for that because there is stigma around psychosis, schizophrenia, and that's why I do the advocacy work that we do. That's why we're having this conversation today. There are so many different misconceptions of someone living with schizophrenia. And when it comes to some stigma around it, I would say believe the person. So often, when you're someone who lives with schizophrenia or psychosis, you're dismissed. Your valid fears are dismissed as paranoia. Your valid ambitions are dismissed as delusions of grandeur. I know when founding students with psychosis, I was going to school at Penn State in the middle of Pennsylvania, but there was a bus that would go from Penn State to New York, and for 6 months straight, I would get on that bus, 5.5 hour bus ride there, 5.5 hour bus ride back, didn't get a hotel, maybe crashed on some friends' couches while I was there to get the nonprofit off the ground. I remember that I would talk to my psychiatrist during that time. And during this time, I did have another hospital stay. And we sat down in a room, and it was me, my psychiatrist, and someone else. It was like we were kind of almost like in a triangle in our chairs. And he was asking very, very personal questions, whether it was about like finances, who are the people I'm seeing in New York, what are their names, this, that, very much treating like this whole going to New York, founding students with psychosis was some delusion or a grandeur, and let me just say, it wasn't. Here we are today, students with psychosis now. And so, again, even though you're someone living with psychosis, you could have valid hopes, you could have valid fears, you could have valid dreams. It doesn't mean they're paranoia, it doesn't mean that they're delusions of grandeur. I think for me, when I've gone to a place where I'm not scared that something drastic is going to happen, because I am someone who has survived a suicide attempt, is when I shifted my thinking around having suicidal thoughts. For me, when I am experiencing suicidal thoughts, I think of it as if someone was having a stomach ache. It's like, okay, let me take a step back. If I had a stomach ache, I'll be like, what did I eat? What did I do? Why am I here? Why am I experiencing this? And now when I have suicidal thoughts and I'm like, whoa, okay, time to take a sick day, time to take that mental health day. So that shift in thinking has really helped me realize that even though I still sometimes struggle with thinking, am I going to be okay? I don't fear that feeling like I'm going to hit the delete button, if that makes sense. I am grateful for all of the students that I work with. Like I'm just I can't even express how proud I am of our team because when it comes to being a person with schizophrenia, I remember first opening up and I didn't know anyone else. And I had my own internalized stigma around the diagnosis. And when you're in an atmosphere where just talking about hallucinations or talking about psychosis symptoms doesn't really raise an eyebrow, it's just like, hey, me too, like it's okay.